Hey, Anthony here from Speedwork, and in this video I'm going to walk through creating and setting up LinkedIn conversion events using the event-specific tags. Previously, a lot of tags were set up using the image pixels. When those image pixels loaded, that would trigger a conversion event and log that back to LinkedIn. Due to changes in a lot of tracking and cookies this past year or two, a lot of that has been restricted. So all the platforms are switching over to JavaScript-based tracking and using these JavaScript codes to do that. So you should check and make sure that your tags are updated. And if you're creating new ones, this is how you do it. So we're going to walk through creating a conversion event. First, we're going to say, hypothetically, I have, let's call this a request quote form on a website. Really, you might have any types of forms on your website. Contact us, request quote, start free trial, and you'll want to set up different conversion tracking for those forms. So I just have a test one here. I'm going to go through the process. So first step is you're going to create a conversion event, online conversion. You're going to give it a name. I'm just going to call mine request quote form submission. I'll use the request quote definition. Go to the next step. Maybe I tag the right campaign that's going to be used in, and then over here, first you need to make sure the insight tag is on your website. So first I'm going to put that on there, and then we'll get down to the event-specific code. So first you need to make sure the insight tag's on your website. I'm doing a demo one here, so I'm creating a new tag for this. So I'm going to say demo LinkedIn insight tag. Custom HTML, drop that code in there, and then trigger on all pages. So this is just making sure my demo tag here is going to show up. And now coming down to the bottom here, this is where I'm actually setting up the conversion tracking. So we can do it on page load. So if you have a thank you page after your form, maybe you submit the form and then it redirects you to some kind of thank you page. This is the preferable method that is used most commonly. So people that make it to the thank you page, you trigger that as a conversion. If you have that, then you don't need to use these event-specific codes unless there's something going on there. But most people use page load for that. But that said, if you have a form that does not redirect, or there's a specific action you're looking to track, like a button click, maybe an add to cart button or something like that, that's when you would want to use the event-specific tag. Now, if you had the old image style tag, this might be selected and you want to switch it over to event-specific as you work through this. And then down here, once you click that, you're going to see the code here. This is the piece of JavaScript you want. So now I'm going to jump back over to Google and say I want to add a new tag. And I want this to trigger on a form submission. So Google Tag Manager has a lot of options. I'm not going to go through the details here, but form submit on request quote. I'm going to make this new trigger so that I have a form submission event. Maybe you want one event for all forms on your page, but more than likely you want to be specific on which one you want to trigger this on. So page URL I'm going to use, and you can see the test page I have is request quote test form. So I'm going to say if my page URL is request quote, then I want to listen for these form submits. Let's save on that. And now I can set up my tag. Again, custom HTML. I'm going to drop that code in here. It's important to know that you need to put script tags in front and behind it. And the back one should have the slash. This is so that it's going to be recognized as JavaScript when it's executed. Without these script tags, it won't work. So be sure to add those script tags. And then I'm just going to name this form submit request quote LinkedIn conversion. So then I make sure I get my form submit trigger, execute this code, and then I can hit save at that point. So now I got these tags here that I need. Google Tag Manager is nice because it has a preview feature, so I can hit preview here. And then it's going to open up a preview page. I want it to test on this page here. It's going to set this up for me. Okay, so that just loaded there. And I'm going to jump back over to this page here. First thing to note is that form submission triggers, that trigger that I used, form submission trigger here, this trigger is only going to work on forms that are actually forms. So this is going to sound weird, but forms, if your form uses this form tag, that's the one that it's going to be able to detect it on. There's a lot of forms and tools out there that use HTML forms or AJAX forms, they can be called. and they submit it through an AJAX request, not through a form submission. So if your form does not have the form tag, then you need to set up your events through other methods with Google Tag Manager. There's lots of tutorials out there on how to do that, but first thing to note is that your form must have a form tag for that trigger to work, or else you have to set it up differently. So if you do have that form trigger, then that's good. So now over here, I can see that my events triggered. I can see that so far my insight tag is triggered, but my form submit tag is not triggered. So that's what I want to make sure that when I submit my form that this gets triggered, and then I want to check back in LinkedIn to make sure that event is showing up there. So over here on this page, I'm just going to submit a test form, and then I hit submit or send, whatever it is, and then boom, that's submitted. This is just a dummy form, so it doesn't have all the nice messaging and stuff, but just to prove the concept. Now I'm going to jump back over here, and you can see that this event triggered, so that's good. That's what I want to see, that Google Tag Manager detected that a form was submitted, so I can check on that, and then tags fired, the one that I wanted. So that's good. That's what I want to see happen. So that means Google Tag Manager detected the form submit, the tag has been fired, and that event should go back over to LinkedIn. So now I can jump back over to LinkedIn. Actually looks like I didn't finish creating this event, so I'm going to hit that create button, and boom, now that event's there. No signal yet because we sent it before it was ready. So I'm going to just redo that. I'll close this page, I'll clear this, and then I'll hit reopen. Boom. I can see that's reloaded again. And I'll do test 6 at email.com, test 6. Doesn't matter what I put in there. I submit that. Again, it's detected another form submit here, so that's firing the right tag. So I can come over here to LinkedIn Campaign Manager, and then I'm going to keep an eye on this page. So we sent the event over to LinkedIn, but it can take some time for LinkedIn to receive that event, and then for the database to update, and then for it to show in your dashboard here. But what we want to look out for is that this is going to eventually say signal detected. So right now, I've seen it update as soon as like 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and then I've seen it take as long as an hour to 2 hours for this to update. So maybe send a couple form submissions and then check back later that day or the next day to see if your event is showing up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait now, and I'm going to come back and check on to see if this event shows up. All right, so after you come back here and give this some time, you should see a signal show up in your conversion events for the event that you had created. I've seen this show up as soon as 5 minutes, or about 5 minutes or so, and I've seen it show up to about an hour or so afterwards. So if you don't see it right away, give it some time, and you should see it show up eventually. But do keep an eye on it, because you want to make sure that you're getting a signal here. If not, you might need to go back and check your configuration to see if something's wrong with maybe the code that was used, or the trigger, or maybe the wrong insight tag is there. It's a lot of different things, but you want to make sure that you're getting a signal so that the conversion event's coming back. And then once you get that, then you're good, and then you can go from there. So if you have any questions, just let us know.